Congress, along with Telangana's Bharat Rashtra Samiti, have filed two separate no confidence motions against the Modi government. Now, this no confidence motion comes at a time when there is a deadlock in parliament over the ethnic clashes in Manipur, which have left more than 130 people dead, thousands displaced, and every day there are stories of unspeakable horrors coming out every day almost. Now, this no confidence motion surely will not stand the test of numbers, even the opposition knows. But can the opposition win the war of perception? Then the next question is that if through this no confidence motion, opposition succeeds to force Modi to make a statement inside the parliament, will he talk on Manipur, or is he going to evade the big question on Manipur? All this and much more over the next half an hour on a panel discussion. We have Javed Ansari, senior journalist, joining us. Thank you, sir, so much for joining. Sabah Naqvi, senior journalist and author, joins us. Thank you. And Pushparaj Deshpande, who's the director for the Samrit Bharat Foundation and editor for the Penguin India Rethinking series. Thank you, Pushparaj. And I'd like to begin with Sabah today. Sabah, what is the purpose of this no confidence motion, when we all know that, of course, this no confidence motion will not stand the test of numbers? What is it really going to achieve at the end of the day?
So, Neelu, on the face of it, we can say that the battle of the narrative, if we look at broadcast television channels as the setter of narratives, then we can say that nobody can ever win a narrative against Mr. Modi. Yesterday, all of them gave him an hour of non-stop coverage for this Bharat Mandapam or whatever, where he declared himself a victor and he said he will make India the third largest economy. All of that happened yesterday. At prime time, it ended right at 8 o'clock. Timed, every channel was doing that. So in that way, we can presume that no narrative will ever be in the perception of the Godi media, the broadcast media, or the dominant channel, or many of the channels will ever be won by anyone other than Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I think some of them are paid to do so, some of them are ideologically committed to saying so, and some of them are young and they believe that it's impossible to defeat him. So they just echo what is happening, which is not true, because the panic right now is that the entire game across India has opened up. You know, it does not look so when you sit in Delhi or Uttar Pradesh, but believe me, because I've not been in Delhi and Uttar Pradesh, it's all opened up right now. So there are panic buttons. Now, if you go to the last session of Parliament, which is the budget session, if you recall, the big issue at that time was the Hindenburg report and the Adani issue. Rahul Gandhi was still an MP. He was not being disqualified. It indirectly involved the Prime Minister. It was an international story. Prime Minister Modi refused to say anything. Instead, we had this suddenly, a court in Gujarat gives a verdict which suggests that Mr. Gandhi will be disqualified. And we are down that path now. He can no longer speak in Parliament. So in spite of the drum beaters of the regime saying that Modi can never lose a battle of perception, because after all, Modi gets free time and he declares himself a winner every other night, which is what we are seeing. And I think there is a psych game on to make people believe that he cannot be defeated. That is the game, because his popularity, their popularity is coming down. Even their strategy right now is to, because their own popularity is not going up, is to break the opposition wherever they can, which is what they've done in Maharashtra. Believe me, people are not thinking that the BJP's numbers are going up. The BJP is bringing in others from outside to damage others. It's not that their popularity is going up. This perception remains unbeaten in the Uttar Pradesh. There I agree with it remains like that, because people feel that there is such atank and so much strength on one side. But in other places, their numbers are not there. And now the great opening of the Northeast, which this genius called Himanta Biswa Sarma, who I know, is supposed to have opened up for them, which has 14 seats in Assam and 2 seats in Manipur, where they're directly playing a sort of Hindutva card, is exploding on their faces. They don't want to talk about it. The Prime Minister has made the most minimalist speech in Parliament, outside Parliament, not in Parliament. He doesn't want to talk about it because the template is not, it's not exactly Gujarat, but it's the same template. The majority community bullies and has policies against the minority community, in this case, the cookies. So they don't want to have a discussion on it. So regardless of what the drum beaters of the regime are going to tell you, and some of them believe it. Believe me, people sitting in Delhi, even in publishing houses, they believe that there is nothing but Modi. That is all that's going to happen in India. So we will do our books accordingly. You know, I mean, sorry, I'm not directly at you, but I'm telling you, because I know they do not know. And many of the young journalists who don't have experience of going to the ground do not see the changes that are crystallizing and how the system is being subverted to make sure that this mood does not come up on top. That is what is happening in the country right now. So yesterday, Mr. Modi declared himself a victor on primetime TV. And so regardless of what the drumbeaters of the regime say, it is an achievement to bring him to the floor of the House and to get him to say a few things, because the last time we had a no confidence motion, the opposition was able to score a few points, even though there was Rahul Gandhi there. But somebody else will do the speaking this time. But there are some good speakers, just to make every time you board a flight and you enter Delhi, if you're in an Air India flight, they will tell you that the Prime Minister is doing great things for the environment and all. The whole aesthetics of the country have changed. You land, the Prime Minister is doing great. Now the point is that he goes all over the world and we hear great mother of democracy. In which democracy, in which functioning democracy would you have a situation where women are paraded naked and the Prime Minister will not speak in the floor of the House?
Absolutely. Now that brings me to the question, Sabha, and I'll take this question from, I'll go to Pushpraj on this. That Pushpraj, of course, the opposition seemingly will win the battle of perception. That opposition has been able to force Modi to make a statement. But looking at the manner in which he has considered the Manipur question so far, on the first day of the monsoon session, when he made this statement, he started talking about Rajasthan, he started talking about Chhattisgarh. So what if he makes a statement, like he replies on the no confidence motion, and then also he dodges the Manipur question? So what happens then? Is opposition prepared for that?
Hi, Neelu. So there are two issues here. One is the historical and parliamentary precedent that was established by Pandit Nehru. If you remember the first no confidence motion, it was also foredoomed by the arithmetic of numbers. Acharya Kriplani, in fact, moved it in 1963 on the war, the Chinese war issue. And Pandit Nehru allowed them, the motion was allowed, the debate lasted for 4 days and for 21 hours, 33 minutes. Pandit Nehru made sure that he sat, the entire cabinet sat patiently through the entire debate, all 4 days. And he responded to each charge. Didn't depute a minister, he himself responded to each charge courteously, without resorting to jingoism and without heckling the opposition. Now, obviously, and this is something that multiple prime ministers have done. Indira Gandhi did that. In fact, one of the first no confidence motions moved by Atal Bihari Vajpayee was against Indira Gandhi in the Rajasthan, when president's rule was imposed in Rajasthan sometime in the late 60s or early 70s. Even there, she responded to him. When Vajpayee, the no confidence motion was moved against Vajpayee thrice, he responded. So this is a historical parliamentary precedent that has been established. Obviously, we expect the Prime Minister to continue to adhere to that parliamentary Rajdhan. He won't do it. We know that. The entire point of this no confidence motion was because the opposition was forced into a corner. The BJP has caricatured the opposition as obstructionist and needlessly difficult. But there is a method to the madness. The alliance had to resort to such extreme steps just to get the PM to speak in parliament. Now, if you think about it, if you read into Article 75(3) of the India's constitution, the Prime Minister and the cabinet are accountable to parliament. So it is his constitutional duty to inform parliament on every issue of national importance. Now, instead of that, as Sabhaji just said, he's made a cursory 36-second statement outside parliament on Manipur and also politicized it. And think about what has happened since then. The LOP's mic was switched off multiple times. The opposition is heckled. MPs were suspended. Ministers are disrupting the House. This is like historic. It's unprecedented. They're doing all of this to avoid any substantive discussion. Forget the fact that this is a breach of parliamentary sovereignty and privilege. Look at this only logically. Manipur has been burning for 3 months. Consider the gravity of the situation. The whole state has been partitioned on ethnic lines. There is a civil-like war situation there. The fires of Manipur have spread to at least 2 other states, Mizoram and Nagaland. And Manipur is also a border state. I mean, enemy nations are itching to exploit instability. Any patriotic government working in the national interest would be concerned about this. The Prime Minister is wanting the debate to be conducted on certain lines. We've already discussed this elsewhere about the rules of it, 267 versus 167. I'll discuss that later if you ask me to. But think about this. The Home Minister cannot talk about the geopolitics of Manipur. The Foreign Minister cannot talk about the multiple internal security crises. And the Defense Minister naturally cannot speak about either of these issues. The only executive authority, just one last 20 seconds, the only executive authority who can speak responsibly about these internal security, geopolitical and national security aspects is the Prime Minister. He alone oversees all these ministerial departments. He alone has the bandwidth to create and execute a comprehensive response to Manipur. Are you saying that the Prime Minister should not discuss this in Parliament?
Right. Okay. So Sharad Gupta also has joined us. Thank you, sir, so much for joining. I'll come to you, but let me go to Javed Ansari on this. Javed, I was reading an article in Time magazine, and it said that probably there could be a situation where the government might evade the motion by engineering some sort of a ruckus in the House or force an early end to the monsoon session. Do you see that happening, or you see that there will be a discussion somehow?
No, I'd be very surprised if they go to that extent. There's an echo.
Yes.
Voice is echoing. No, my voice is echoing. So everything that I say. So I'd be, no, it's echoing. It's echoing again. You will have to correct it.
Maybe.
Yeah, so I'd be very surprised if they go to that extent, because it's unprecedented that once a no confidence motion is tabled, it takes precedence over all normal business, everything else. So you can't bluster your way through. He will have to. So what this does prove, of course, is that at the end of what this does achieve, apart from the optics, is that they forced the Prime Minister to be accountable. Look at the irony of this situation. Manipur is being discussed in the European Parliament, but it will not be discussed, or was not being allowed to be discussed in the Indian Parliament, where Manipur is a part of the Union, yet we can't discuss. The Prime Minister spoke on the issue 100 yards from the floor of the House in the car park of Parliament, but did not deem it fit to come to Parliament and speak on the floor of the House. You see, this is a piece with what they did on the China issue, what they've done on the Iran issue. The Prime Minister just refuses to answer questions. The Prime Minister just refuses to be accountable. He will not open his mouth. He believes he's above all this, that nobody can hold him accountable. Now, in a parliamentary democracy, this doesn't happen. This is not a dictatorship. We are not Russia, or we are not China, or some other place, or some kind of monarchy when you are not accountable. He is accountable. He's taken oath. Look what he did when he first entered Parliament in 2014. His first act was to bow his head on the steps of Parliament. Then the second time, he went and kissed the Constitution. That very Constitution lays out that he and his cabinet have to be answerable to Parliament. This business, he wants to project this larger than life image that he's a very powerful leader. Power doesn't stem from evading, running away from question. It stems from confronting them. There, I have absolutely no doubt, and nobody has any doubt in their mind that as far as the numbers go, even a miracle can't save the opposition. The numbers are heavily stacked against them. And given the fact Mr. Modi's oratorial skills, given the fact that they have this mammoth majority in Lok Sabha, they will carry the debate. Mr. Modi will spin a yarn. Probably he will indulge in water poetry. There will be more on Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand, and less on Manipur. Manipur will be mentioned in passing. It will be left to the Smriti Iranis and the Amit Shah's to do the, to say, to haul the opposition over the court. So, apart from the fact that it will hold him accountable, also the opposition will need to, all of them will need to speak in one voice. I think they missed a trick by the fact that in this hurry, they had only Congress MPs signing it. It would have been a lot better if most of the members of the India coalition had signed it. At least for optics sake, that would have been a lot better. Then it will also depend on who the Congress party and who the rest of the opposition, the kind of speakers they put up and the kind of facts that they can marshal.
Right, absolutely. Sharath, let me come to you now that, there's a whole lot of question and answer over the fact that why the government is not having an immediate discussion on the no confidence motion. Now, whether they would allow, because Mr. Kharge wanted a discussion today, we do not know. They might probably entertain the discussion on the last day or maybe towards the last 2 days. We do not know. But what Javed was saying, even if Modi makes a statement, what if he ends up scoring brownie points for himself? And he'll end up in a lot of whataboutery, as what Javed said, that he'll talk about Rajasthan, he'll talk about Chhattisgarh, he'll target the opposition as much as it can. But then at the end of the day, will it be an intelligent tool by the opposition to, on the mat and prove that, look, we forced Prime Minister Narendra Modi to say something to break his silence on Manipur. But then at the end of the day, the no confidence motion probably might not serve the purpose which the opposition wanted. Yes, Sharaji.
Neetu, actually, this is a different opposition. The government is facing this. They are much more aggressive. They are armed with logic. They are armed with slogans. They are fired up. They have energy. So it's not the insipid opposition we have witnessed for most part of last 9 years. And you can see it. You can feel it. And one thing I like to say, that Prime Minister is certainly going to speak on Manipur. He is to brand Manipur as the drug capital of India. The cookies used to grow opium by felling forests. And when the state government tried to curb that, they tried to retaliate, and that's how major violence has taken place. So those kind of, as Javed was saying, whataboutery will certainly be there. But more than that, he is going to say the state government is waging a war on drugs, and these drug lords and foreign forces and what about so many things. So in any case, neither the state government nor the center, he will not blame anybody, he will not own any blame for center or the state government. So that way, he is going to score brownie point as he did in 2018. He will try to rather, but I don't think he'll finally get to score the brownie points. He'll try to, but I'm not sure how much ice his arguments are going to cut in people, because people are fed up with this government on price rise, on joblessness. There are so many things. People are disillusioned. So even the hardcore BJP supporters, they are realizing that they are feeling the pinch.
Right.
So I'm not sure how much arguments are going to be swallowed as it is by his supporters, also his supporters.
Right. Okay. So now let me come to all of you for the concluding comments, and I'll go to Sabha first. Sabha, so does opposition need more innovative methods to fix the accountability of the government? Because we all know that Modi government is a government which runs away from accountability. And so will the opposition and all methodology by the opposition, seemingly the government the government knows what tactics the opposition will resort to. So does opposition need newer methods to fix the accountability, apart from, say, like what?
I think that the opposition has done a duty to democratic and parliamentary tradition. Because regardless of what the optics and like I said, what the Godi media is going to say, that the PM wins every night on national television, right? The PM wins every night and Muslims do something sinister every night on national TV. That is a given now. So regardless of that, they're going to declare him the winner. And regardless of but the point is people also know. And what we are talking about here is beyond the optics and the narrative setting that will happen on the day when we have this debate. As Javed said, it's very important who are going to be the speakers. Because we have some good speakers and I hope they choose them well and finely. And who are going to be the speakers? How is the Prime Minister going to criminalize an entire tribal group in an area where China matters? China has its areas of influence. So it's not as simple as we like to imagine. Is he going to say, and where the BJP went on strategic mastermind, Himanta Biswa Sarma has opened up the gateways. The entire Northeast is unboiled. All Himanta does these days is gets up every other morning and remembers Mia, which is the Bengali Muslim. That seems to be the modus operandi for him. While all around him, all those little acts of genius, he's sort of putting together they're all falling apart. So it's not easy for the Prime Minister to sit there and criminalize cookies and say they are doing drugs. It's easier to do it with Muslims. You can say anything, any point all across India. But you have had a tribal warfare where they've come and they've hit back also, which is what has happened in Manipur. You know, so there are many, many nuances to this. There is ethnic thing with Mizoram and the Nagas, which make up 24% of Manipur's population. I mean, the direct conflict between Meiteis and the Kukis, but the Nagas have also now got agitated. So it's not so simple. You want to lose? Let's say the BJP only calculates through Lok Sabha seats, 14 in Assam, 2 in Manipur. Even that is not a good number these days when everywhere you go outside of UP, when people believe that the opposition is not standing up, so they don't know. There is losses for the BJP coming up. You know, even though the PM declares himself a mighty winner every night on TV, as I'm saying, and they find some Muslim issue. That's what's happening in our country. So I think the opposition has done the right thing by forcing him, no matter what whataboutery, no matter what hysterics we're going to see from the likes of Miss Irani and, you know, all of this. And what are you going to say? Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh turn back, Madhya Pradesh. What are the data in Madhya Pradesh on women's sexual crimes against women? What is the data in UP? Just look at all of that. It's horrific. If I remember, I haven't looked at it recently. Madhya Pradesh used to be the worst. Years and years of BJP rule. Find out all that. Do that. I mean, you can always hit back with logic. Of course, we are well aware that this is a post-truth age and it's about perception and one pose and one rhetoric, but it's not working. That's the problem. It's not working.
Right.
You know, we have to sort of unhijack. Now, of course, the system is being subverted. That's another issue altogether. That's what I'd say. Yeah.
No, but you said that, is it working? And if I may ask this question in context with the no confidence motion, Pushpraj, will it really work? The no confidence motion, is it really going to be something which is like a rare no confidence motion which Modi will be facing? Of course, there have been so many in the past, you yourself pointed out, but is it going to be some kind of a rare moment for Modi? A rare no confidence motion, if I may say. Yes, Pushpraj.
I already said this. The no confidence motion is doomed by the arithmetic of numbers. So I don't want to talk about, there's no point in talking about how this is really going to play out. The point is the opposition today, as Sabaji was saying, is perfectly justified in asking for Prime Minister Modi to brief Parliament. Let me emphasize this. This is not to score cheap political brownie points on the government. This is only so the opposition can offer substantive advice and help on how to resolve the situation in Manipur. There are many experienced leaders within the opposition branches who have decades of hands-on experience and knowledge on tackling instability in India and in the Northeast. This in the national interest, use them. This is the best thing. This is the best case scenario for Prime Minister Modi and the BJP government. Use this experience. This issue transcends politics, partisan politics. The problem is that the BJP government is refusing to take everyone along. If they had, they would have agreed to a debate under Rule 267, which provides for the suspension of business to discuss critical issues of national importance. What discussion can the opposition have when you handcuff it? I don't understand. What is the government? Why is the government trying to have a ceremonial discussion and be done with it? I think, frankly, Manipur deserves better. India deserves better. The problem is also that the Prime Minister and the BJP government are twiddling their thumbs in their ivory towers on Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Marg. Every day of the BJP government's inaction and paralysis is costing lives, pushing Manipur towards a genocide, and pushing yet another state in the Northeast into instability. None of us, not the opposition, not the government, not you, not me, nor any patriotic Indian has the luxury of just sitting around. And the no confidence motion was the only way to get the Prime Minister to speak in Parliament. What he does with it is completely the ball is in his court. I hope he conducts himself in a statesman-like manner and takes genuine substantive advice and does something to resolve instead of just hiding his face in havans and ceremonial events and doesn't do more flag hoistings. What is it called? The inaugurations.
Okay. So Sharatji, what is the possibility you see when this discussion comes up in Parliament and when the Prime Minister, the moment, in fact, when Prime Minister would be giving his reply, what are you really expecting? And what would be the takeaways for the opposition and for the ruling side in terms of perception battle as well? Yes.
I think that's what counts. That is what matters. Because number games, as Pushpa just said, and in any case, no confidence motion till date has ever succeeded. I think barring one, has never succeeded. So no confidence motion is never moved only to topple the government. It is moved to basically hold a discussion on certain issues for which it wants to hold the government accountable. And as far as the media is concerned, as Sabha was saying, that every day Modi emerges champion is declared champion by the media. So let me tell you, the media circulation, viewership, everything is falling so steeply that according to government itself, in its reply to a Rajya Sabha question, the IND minister himself admitted last week that it has drastically reduced the ad spending. From 2018 to 2023, it has slashed its ad spending to print media by 50% and to electronic media by 66%. So obviously, the circulation and viewership is falling. That's why the government is cutting back expenditure. And in any case, Modi wants to eliminate the media from between masses and him. He tweets and he feels that that's the best medium for him to reach to the masses and his supporters. So that's another thing. But I feel that during the debate, the entire opposition is going to hold the government responsible for various things which things that have happened during last 9 years. Not only Manipur, but on various other things, the schism created in the society, the joblessness, the unemployment and inflation, price rise, everything. So many other things have taken place. Vande Bharat trains launched, infrastructure increased, but the quality of infrastructure. So many things happening, and that monopoly of corporates is what are we creating? Corporate Frankenstein. So there are so many things the opposition has to speak on, and basically the general election is hardly 10 months away, and in a way the opposition has launched its campaign. It's going to launch its campaign from the parliament itself.
Absolutely. Okay, so Javed, if I may ask you towards the end, we've been discussing the purpose, what this no confidence motion will achieve at the end of the day. But people are worried about, the fact that when Modi starts speaking, he might just turn the tables on the opposition, like what happened in 2018 when TDP had moved the no confidence motion and he gave a big speech. So are we going to see a repeat? And he's going to trivialize the whole concept of a no confidence motion. He'll just demolish that.
He will certainly do his best. Again, the echo was. No, there's an echo. My voice is echoing, so it's difficult for me to. Yeah, so he will certainly do his best to take down the opposition. He's going to launch a blistering attack, turn the tables on the opposition. Don't expect any courtesies from him. Don't expect that he's going to do them any favors. He will not just try and demolish the opposition's case, he will also try and build a case for himself. And like he did yesterday at the inauguration, that in my third term, so he'll try and contrast that, look, I am talking of development, their only agenda is to bring down Modi. And he'll repeat that, all of them are ganging up to bring me down. He'll probably take some pot shots at India. You know, he'll do all that. It'll be a usually Modi 40-minute to an hour long speech aimed at prime time. He'll try and each of the political parties, he'll try and take a pot shot at Mamata Banerjee, at Bihar, and of course his best. He'll be at his acerbic best when it comes to the Congress. So don't expect any favors from Mr. Narendra Modi. Yes, the fact is, and the opposition, I mean, and there are no green horns, you know, they know what to expect. They're going into it with their eyes open, and they will put their point across and hope that not the Modi media, but at least the people in the rest of the country at large will be receptive to what they say and will listen. Because the great aura that Mr. Modi has built about himself, especially outside the country, more so outside the country, that India, you know, is a land of there's just progress happening, and it's a land of milk and honey, and he's this world statesman. That with all this has got slowly punctured. Look at this. He was the darling of these foreign leaders. Every time, you know, all our media just beams pictures of him hugging and kissing these Firangs and holding hands with them. And suddenly European Parliament discusses this. And people are taking note in US, in the Senate, elsewhere, in these committees. The Committee for Religious Freedom, when the report comes out, I'm sure Manipur will figure. Because it's not easy. Just remember, it's not easy to, you can manipulate and hold in your thrall the Indian media. It's not easy to do this with the rest of the world. You'll pick up any of the papers, look at the foreign networks. All of them have stories almost every day on money.
So Modi will certainly try and brazen out this no confidence motion, exactly the manner in which what he did in 2018. But let's wait and watch as to which is the day when Speaker Om Birla decides to proceed with the discussion on no confidence motion. We'll have to wait and watch. Thank you so much, Javed Ansari, Pushparaj Deshpande, Sharad Gupta. It was wonderful having you on the program. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching The Federal, subscribe to our channel, send us a feedback.